Match 4 against Cavalo, the coach of the Valiant Storms. I play a total of 6 matches, or 6 games against Cavalo. 3 here in pools, and then 3 again in the top 8. I don't know how many of these games I'm going to review, because all 6 of these are completely jam-packed. This matchup is quite insane. Cavalo's team is scary, it's versatile, it's well-built. It does a lot of different things, and my team also does a lot of different things. Over the course of these 6 games, there's a lot of little things that we learn about each other, which is one of my favorite things about playing Beastieball, when you just play against someone over and over, and you start to get in each other's heads. You start to really learn how their team ticks just as well as yours does. You learn how your team ticks against them specifically, what to look out for, what's strong, what's weak. That happens, but we're gonna jump into game 1 immediately here. So, Cavalo's team is another grit dugout team, but that's definitely not the only trick they have. Yeah, torch pass, chant, and grit on this dugout. Extreme offensive pressure with the grit, and then just good defenses and resistance to extra damage with unflappable. And then the torch pass and chant. A beastie that kind of does everything. At least in terms of, like, raw numbers. And then a mystic. Thankfully, my team isn't too reliant on body damage, so intangible isn't a big deal here, but Heat Wave obviously is. Dispel Hex obviously is for any team. Over time, I learn who Cavalo wants to dispel Hex, and they learn who they want to Hex on my team. But right now, we're still kind of feeling it out. They start with the Heat Wave opener, like every Grit Dugout team does. Oh, also the rest of the team. There's this Opposer with Exert and Grit on it. Another big offensive and tanky force that just is really hard to take down. Tort Anchor with Faith for some boosting, Provoke for control, Boom for some extra damage, as well as Shanty. This team is just like... I mean, I guess they have like Heat Wave and Hex and stuff, but most of it's just kind of like raw numbers. This is like kind of like a good example of what a spirit team or a spirit playstyle looks like, at least in how the designers imagined it. Just these really hard to get rid of forces with these neat little tricks and these downsides that they have. And then there's a Platypulse. My team also doesn't rely a lot on mind attacks, so Intangible and Neural Net basically do nothing for me. They do almost nothing. Except that they do actually make it a lot harder for me. Because I noticed when looking at the team codes posted after the tournament, because this team has a Mystic and a Platypulse on it, all of these guys are fully invested in Spirit defense. Dugout is normally, I think Spirit is its lowest defense normally, and here it's really high. It's tied with the body defense. Same with Opposer here. Really high Spirit defense, which makes it really hard for my Burnout to get through them. And Thump just, I mean, they're also tanky against body, but Thump just doesn't have quite the power. One of the reasons I have such a hard time against them. Anyway. This counter serve is what I imagine most of Cavalo's counter serves were for the whole tournament, and I can see why. It's really strong. Heat Wave into Dispel Hex, hitting with Crit, making one of your beasties tired. Eventually, one of the benefits of us learning each other is I can know who Cavalo is going to Hex and tag them out. But here, unfortunately, I guess wrong. I think they're going to Hex the Dildo, because I know that that's the biggest threat on my team. But they go for the trap. Here I think I'm... Yeah. provoking the dugout because I don't want it to torch pass. Oh yeah, it's low on health. I wasn't looking. Provoke is big in this matchup as well. Provoking torch pass, provoking heat wave. Really big deal the entire tourney. And here, yeah, I'm just bringing up Bongus for a bounce. Cavalo here could walk up the Tort Anchor, but it would give me like a free turn. I don't think there's much the Tort Anchor can do. I guess it could double provoke actually. Anyway, they just either don't think I'm going to go through with it, or they don't think that the cost of the dead turn is worth it. Cavalo also, much like I think Dino in the last tournament, knows the value of Hex and switches in Mystic almost whenever it's available and is hexing constantly. And I think in this first game I don't ever guess the Hex target correctly. Hexing the Bongus is smart because then I can't take advantage of the fact that they want to swap out their Mystic and go for another free sideways point. Anyway, I dealt with the dugout pretty well. My team's still looking fine with dugout on the bench at, I mean, it was 8 white, it's 4 now. But the opposer is just as scary. For this, I remember this turn. I don't switch out Bongus here because I don't want it on the bench at 6 stamina. I would much rather have it be on the bench and wiped and get forager value immediately. So I just sack the point here. Welcoming still works even if Bongus is wiped, which makes Bongus a very nice sacrifice target. Although after that, no one on the bench really knew welcoming that badly. I don't get to do this a lot against Cavalo, and I think even here it's not quite the correct move, but I go for the quick tag Whoosh Burnout here. Cavalo, if I remember correctly, they are very rarely in the front row in this match, which makes Burnout very difficult to hit against them. Good to go for a Shook against Dillo, and yeah, with Faith, this Grit is threatening a wipe on Trat. This is a really smart move here because I either swap out Trat and then just have to like volley attack for a dead turn, or I swap out Dillo to not have a stinky beastie on the field and also to save it. But leave the Trat open. I guess both of them are open actually. These are those 100+ damage numbers I was talking about against spirit attacks. The fact that the big threats in this team are spirit attackers is one of the reasons why this is such a tough matchup for me. This matchup is the one that made me wish that I invested in spirit defense on Dillo, because these numbers would not be nearly so high. If Dillo was fully spirit invested here, I think you can actually just walk back to the back row and be able to take this Grit from opposer, maybe even with a Faith bonus. That wouldn't be a good move, but you know, it would open up my options a lot more. This is a matchup where I should be spamming Chill Out a lot. Oh yeah, and then Cavalo doesn't even go for the Trat. Like, they utilize the 50-50. They don't have to focus Strat and go for the like highest value or the most consistent value, I guess. They get Dill out of there, and that's a correct read on their part. But yeah, this is a matchup where I should be using Chill a lot. I think I don't really realize that for a while. Hope I didn't get caught on the recording. Also, one thing that Cavalo utilizes really well is Provoke on this Tort Anchor. They are using Provoke a lot. And I mean, I guess they're kind of free too. This setup is built to use Provoke very easily. But so much of my team against Cavalo so often is tired or angry or whatever. Because of the provoke on Trat last turn, I can't quick tag into Bongus for a sideways here. And honestly, maybe that's just like a mistake. Maybe I should have tagged in Fruit Folks. Probably. And I don't want to keep the Supalero in for a thump, so I go for Corner Shot on Opposer, even though this gives it more health due to Hardy. Yeah, just the Angry shuts off so many options. And being able to just use Provoke consistently, being able to use Spitball consistently, just leaves this team in a really bad spot. Here's where I realize I should be doing Chill Out. Although both of these beasties are Chill Out targets, but they go for the Chill Out on Dugout and the attack on Opposer. Thankfully, they don't have a Provoke to prevent me from using Chill Out. Oh, yeah. And here I correctly read that Cavalo is just going to switch in this deck against this thump. Still a very bad spot for them, because Dugout's at -2. Also, always love doing this. Treat saves the Bongus, keeps it in. I correctly read here, because this is just the smart thing to do. They're going to Hex the Supalero and then attack the Bongus. Against most teams, this would lead to a nearly dead turn, one where I have to switch out Bongus in order for it to not lose a point, especially because Cavalo's at 2 already. And then Supalero wouldn't be able to provide any support. But this is one of the things that makes Treat really fun to use and very cool. It doesn't come out that often, but here I get to have the turn that I want, which is the classic. They have to raw tag out here into the front row, and so I just blast them. Opposer can take that at full health. They're not currently at full health, and Platypulse kind of just barely can't, which is very nice. Unfortunately, scoring the point does reset the D-boost on Opposer, so I have to deal with fully powered up grid again, with Bongus wiped due to sweat. Correctly guess here? You may notice, this looks like the game should be over. There's several turns left. This is another great benefit of Quick Tag. Normally, in situations like this, I mean, if you play competitive Beastieball, you've probably seen this before. You know, it's like correct for the opponent to target the non-wiped Beastie if it's a guaranteed wipe, because then the only way for you to avoid losing on that turn is to switch this out, which leads to a dead turn. And it usually leads into like a kind of loop, because the thing in this spot gets hit by a big attack, it's at low health, and then you're just in the exact same conundrum next turn. And that just keeps happening until you guess wrong. But with Quick Tag, even though Fruit is left at 9 stamina here, I can get in my 100 HP Solero. And this just lets me tag in Bongus freely. Unfortunate timing that it happened on that turn when Tord Anchor wipes due to sweat. I couldn't really take advantage of that. But yeah, now I'm one guess, and a 100 HP Supalero on the bench means I'm all back up. Still not great, because I had to switch in Trap there, and Trap's only attack is Corner Shot. So I actually free ball and Quick Tag into the wiped Bongus, because I know I can't really threaten anything on that turn. And, I mean, like I said, welcoming works even when Bongus is wiped. So, with welcoming an Acrobat here, Daredillo can take even a Spirit attack, because Exart isn't that strong. Up until this point, I have not even, like, seen the Platypulse, basically. I, like, wasn't even thinking about the fact that it had Blade Trap. If I was, it probably would have utilized Cleanup a bit better, but yeah, the Late Trap just leads to a checkmate here. There's no swap that I can do here that's safe. That's game 1 of 6. Okay, I think I am just going to put every game with Cavalo in here. I might cut some of them out of the video, but I feel like there's something to talk about in literally every one of them. Yeah, I definitely felt like Cavalo was kind of like my rival this tournament, just because I got matched up against them twice. And, well, they're the ones that knocked me out. Spoiler alert. So here they're on serve, so they don't get to do the heat up counter serve. Instead, their serve setup is Exert, which is pretty good. And normally, I think with Exert serve, what you normally do is just walk up. You just walk up to net because you're tough, and then you can start hammering with grit. They don't do that here, and I'm not entirely sure why. I'm sure there's some reason for it. I just can't really figure it out. Their dugouts, I would say in this match, generally a little more threatening than their poser, but not without Heatwave. Yeah, they just tagged the poser back in. Not sure. Maybe they're just nervous and on the back foot. Maybe it's a misclick. In any case, I get a free point. I think, if I had to guess, it's been a while since the tournament at this point. My guess would be that I think they switch in the dugout to just do an immediate torch pass. And so I say, well, just get the free point if you're going to do that. Let me just tap back in. I kind of wish that I could, like, talk about the logic of every tag in and tag out that I do. If I did that, this video would be like 10 hours long. Because I tag in, like, every offense turn and every defense turn. Here I think... Oh, right! Yes, I remember. Sorry, it's been a while since I looked at this. I think my plan here, after I switch in the Supalero, is I say, well, I'll switch in Trat, because they've got Quake Up, and they've got Droma. I'll switch in Trat so I can do Cleanup. And I forget that because Trat got hit by Provoke last turn, that sticks around, even if they tag out. So I tag in Trat here to do Dispel, and have Fruitfolk's attack. Like, I guess forgetting that Fruitfolk's is shook, and Trat is angry? I don't know why I don't just go for Bongus or Dillo here. I mean, I guess Cleanup can trigger next turn, but... Corner Shot, not very strong against this team. Maybe I'm hoping that the opposer will, like... No, they have Drum! Yeah, Corner Shot's useless. They go for the first Hex. They don't... I guess I don't really know much about playing these kinds of Heatwave teams. My guess would be that, like, Heatwave on Dugout is so strong. Why would you not try to get it off as soon as possible? Even if you serve, still just, like... I don't know, serve with grit or something. Just to get it activated. Like in a 3-point game, it seems worth giving up the first point just to threaten with grit the whole game, but maybe it's just that. Grit dugout is so strong against my team specifically. I didn't think that way. Thankfully, I guessed correctly who Cavalo's gonna hex. And so I just tagged the Trat out. And then, as I usually go for, or at least usually should go for, I immediately go for the sideways. After that. It's a pretty good play, because obviously Cavalo wants to tag out Mystic. It's not that good, though, because the sideways play is bounce. So they could just move Mystic up. It can still receive, because it has the stamina, and then it'll just bounce to Tort Anchor, and they can still do like a normal attack. I was thinking after this turn, like, maybe I should just change this bounce to Careful Shot, because the free volleys is such a big deal, and the damage on bounce almost never matters. There's like a couple of times where I can predict who is going to move up if they move up, because bounce will deal like 20, and something has like less than 20 health. Also funny, I think, yeah, I'm at 2 points already, and both of them are just no-touch points. I have not actually wiped any Beastie on Cavalo's team yet this game. But here I'm threatening to. Thump is enough to KO this opposer, but yeah, I know they're just going to switch out, so instead I tag out to get Forager value, and eventually tag out the Trat to both stop this Faith and get rid of the drums. Immediately back into Super Arrow. A lot of very careful maneuvering that I have to do here. Tagging in Daredillo against this team is, like, on defense, is almost never doable, because Grit is a threat on nearly every single turn. Yeah, Burnout is... Front row Burnout is enough to almost KO the dugout. Almost. But it's almost never at 100 stamina. It's usually taken at least a little bit of chip, or it has less max health because of Torch Pass. But they can just block. I think this is honestly... This turn was just me kind of getting frustrated at not dealing damage, even though I've gotten 2 points by just playing slow and getting some lucky bounces in. But there's definitely comes a point where I start to get scared. You know, Cleanup is strong at stopping the Faith, and obviously Dugout's Grit isn't activated. And also their opposer, like, can't even switch it. No, this is an incredible spot for me. Maybe that's actually why I do this. I know I can just do Burnout, and there's not really all that much they can do to punish me. I'm gonna look at this turn again. I feel like that's a misplay, actually, going for that damage here, and just expecting them, like, not to block. Like, what else are they gonna do this turn? They're gonna block or they're gonna Torch Pass. There's no way they're tagging out. I feel like just volley and then chill out on the dugout. I guess that actually loses to Torch Pass into opposer. Maybe that's what I thought they would do. They just wanted as much damage on opposer as possible. Maybe provoke volley thump on the dugout, and then next turn go for the big damage. It's hard to tell. There's so many options. It really depends on, in the moment, what you think your opponent is going to do. Regardless, they lose pretty hard with this block because they get a double provoke off, which is pretty bad for this team, always, especially because I can't keep Dillo out, because Dillo is obviously going to wipe with the Spirit attack. Let me see if we can get that huge number. Yeah, no chill out. I guess Bongus doesn't have quick tag anyway. Still. There's the provoke. So I did end up being in a good position. I guess that provoked ended up being perfectly timed. It all ended up working out. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about after the fact. And I should trust the decisions I'm doing. Wrong guess. I'm not sure exactly what their reasoning is. Oh, okay. That's their reasoning for where they hex the bonus. They want to stop being in the front row. Yeah, I think this is the point where Cavalo realizes that Bongus is actually kind of the biggest threat to their team. And they start hexing the Bongus as their target of choice like every single time. They don't want the chill outs. They don't want the free points. Fair, given that both of my points so far have been 3 points. They move Mystic back because that is actually the only way that they can avoid losing. The Platypulse here can't take a front row burnout at full power. And obviously these two can't, so this is the only way they can keep going. They get a double provoke off, but oh wow, this is, now that I look back on it, that is very good planning into the future. They hex the Bongus so that they can move back their Mystic, knowing that Mystic will take a burnout. So that then they can switch in Platypulse. Okay, I should definitely rewatch the replays before I comment on it. Why? Do they just like... Okay. Right, yeah, I think they just forgot that set clears debuffs. So they thought there wasn't anything that could... Yeah. Front row Raw Fury left it. Back row Thump left it. Corner shot, obviously. Yeah, I guess they just forgot about that thing that set can do. And also forgot that an option here to me is actually double quick tag. Quick tag in a Trat and then quick tag the Trat back out to clear the burnout debuffs. Yeah. Feels a little bit underhanded to just win the game because they forgot about a game mechanic. But I don't know, that's half the power of a Dread team, to be honest. Let me review this one before I go talking about it. Okay, this is a good one actually. I like this game a lot. So they're on counter serve again. I do remember getting pretty salty, honestly, about Grit Dugout. I think that's kind of coming on the commentary a little bit. And I might even, at the time, chalk up my loss here to the fact that Cavalo got counter serve on the first game, and therefore they get 2 games with counter serves where they get to just win because they get the Grit Dugout counter serve. Reviewing the game, though, this is not even close to true. Because I managed to... So, yeah, like I said last game, this is when Cavalo starts hexing my Bongus every single time. For whatever reason, this is just really dumb of me. I know that they're going to open with the Mystic, and they're going to want to hex turn 1, so I say, oh, let me bring my Bongus on the serve then. I'll serve with Thump. So that A, Daredillo doesn't get affected by Sweat. And B, so that I can have Bongus there to get the free point after the hex. And I just don't put the pieces together that Cavalo's just going to hex the Bongus. And I'm not going to get to do that. What I should do is start with something different, although I think look how my team's laid out, the options are great. I think it's like, I don't know the exact layout. Corner shot's obviously not a good serve. I don't want to serve the Bongus. So I think it's just Raw Fury and the partner for that is like Zeradillo in the second slot. Yeah, the ordering, there isn't really a good serve against this team. But the Raw Fury with Zeradillo is still probably the best one. Or honestly, maybe even Corner Shot. Just to like have the particular duo out. Anyway. Here I, thankfully, Dugout's taken a bit of damage just from the thumb. And I know that front row burnout isn't going to KO here. And in fact, isn't even going to do a lot for me, so I choose not to wish. I played a little bit slower. I go for the provoke to prevent Dugout from torch passing. Because of that, Dugout is left in a pretty bad spot. It's only 29 stamina. Also here, this is a 50-50. Obviously, Great is enough to KO Zeradillo always. And it's enough to KO the Cavalo. I think I just go for not really playing the mind games. Even though technically it is one of the two options, but I just go for the Forager value because it's more guaranteed. Trying to save Zeradillo and still guessing on losing one anyway. Zeradillo will just come back in 4 turns. And I would rather have the Forager help. Yeah. Keeping up those... Oh yeah, also if Superior gets wiped, I can't continue preventing Torch Pass. So it's another way that that's guaranteed value. And this puts me in a really great spot. In fact, Dugout here is at 3 stamina. It will be at 3 stamina on the bench for the rest of the game. Which means that even though they got this counter serve, like obviously Grit was pretty threatening for a couple of turns, but I still neutralized the threat. You're just going for a slow play, waiting for Dillo to come down, and just tagging in Bongus to get some welcoming. Tagging in Bongus is like, it's like a heal for later. It's like, I will want to heal next turn, or like in 2 turns. And also I'll want to chill out, because now they only have 1 threatening attacker. And chill out can just, I mean, not entirely neutralize it, because the faiths are still kind of undoing the chill out, but I can prevent it from being boosted at least. Because that's easier to sustain than trying to do cleanup every single turn. Okay, I wonder if Cavalo should have actually just lost a point. Just let Dugout get wiped and lose a point so that it can... Because they have to maneuver with Opposer for the rest of the game. This is like their only attacker. And Opposer is a good attacker. Hardy makes it very difficult to get rid of. And Exert obviously makes it difficult to get rid of, even though it's stacking up Sweaty. Well, actually do let it wipe. Yeah, it's not that sturdy. I do think Cavalo's misplaying here, not entirely, but they're willing to sacrifice their Opposer, but not their Dugout. Anyway, I incorrectly read who they're gonna hex here. I probably thought they would hex Trat so that I couldn't get a Dispel from the boons. But no, they decided to put out Daredevil for longer than it would be put out if they had just wiped it. Which is kind of funny. Strategy for this game is very good. We're gonna tag and trap for the Dispel to get rid of the traps on the ground. A lot of field effects they're stacking up all at once here. How this team plays with Platypulse on the field versus how it plays with a poser dugout on the field is very different. This Platypulse is very indirect damage focused. The late trap, especially against this team, is really, really threatening. And I have to be really not careful. I have to try to use cleanup really aggressively, so that the traps don't ever build up too much and just tear my team to shreds. Super Forager also helps a lot with trap damage. Super Lair tagging on traps is like kind of free. Here I go for the for welcoming to heal trap. I keep Super Lair in because I know that Boom isn't gonna KO it, and I know I can't get Quake blocked because it has Quick Tag. Honestly, actually Provoke on the Super Lair when the Boom on the top slot. I mean, it would have been a pretty hard read. You know, there's a good chance I just tag out Super Lair, especially since it does White Tag. But I get the read off on Cavalo. I know they're not going to try to go for the numb shot. I know they want those traps up as much as possible. So I get Trat in to clean up out on. Unfortunately, I do have to tag out Super Arrow to prevent getting Quake blocked, and I just go into Free Folks just to heal up, try and heal past all this passive damage they're trying to get on me. Daredevil is still down. And Opposer's back up, so Cavalo's team switches to the other mode. And I lose this 50. Right? Yeah. Yeah, even with cleanup, this is a 50-50. Cleanup would clear one of the boosts, but Free Folks would still lose it, so I just guess wrong. Slash, I go for the guaranteed value, because, I don't know, clearing the drum, I think they had drum. It's very cool how Cavalo's team has these two modes, one with the Platypulse. I mean, I'm sure against a Mine team, Platypulse also can be in both modes. Like, Platypulse is just the supporter with set for, like, jazz-boosted grids against a Mine team. God, that's scary. But the Tordanker can also play two modes. Faith boosts up the attackers. Faith-boosted grid, I guess, is just as scary as set-boosted grid. And Provoke is always useful, but the Boom Shanty really lets their team kind of slow down and stall and play a more indirect damage-focused game. Kind of similar to how my team can either be threatening the front row burnouts constantly, or it can just be getting welcoming Forager and treat off infinitely. This is another 50-50. Oh no, it's not. Yeah, because of Chill Out. Yeah. They bring the poser out, so I bring Fox out. Equally. And with the Chill Out, Opposer just barely can't do enough to wipe Bongus. And also, with the second Chill Out, even after the 20 sweat damage, and Bongus at 20, once again, just barely not enough. They could Faith here. Faith into Grit on Bongus is iffy. I mean, it's you know, a read. It's one of the options that will win against one of my options. Maybe not nearly every, but so many of the turns in this game are 50-50s. Is constantly like, I can do multiple things, they can do multiple things. You know, Volley Faith Grit here is scary. I do read them correctly, though, because even without Faith, Grit is still a wipe on trap. And so they go for double for both. Except I actually circumvent this 50-50 because I do tag out Bongus, but I tagged him into Fruitfolks. And Treat is just enough to keep track. So here I'm going all in. Both my beasties are at low health, you know, against 2 out of 3 points. Yeah, I guess I know that this is a guaranteed point here. And there's... This is a misplay, actually. They can't tag in to Dugout, and the Poser has 3 power downs here. I think I actually should not have played this fast. Looking back on it now, I should have... Probably... Oh, wait, no, it's really tough. Because I want to tag out Trat, but tagging out Trat will actually clear all of the damage damage. So because Trat is low, I actually have to go for P3. That's right. One of the instances where cleanup is bad for me, I hadn't really considered that negative interaction between cleanup and chill out until this game. I probably should have thought of that, like, in advance. But yeah, they tag in Mystic, which is a good play, because obviously Mystic wipes, but now they get to tag in a Poser when Dillo and a Poser are in the back row instead of both in the front row. And they know that this is a game, which... I'm thinking what happens if I win this 50-50, right? Because this is... I do lose this. This is the last play of the game. If I win this, if I tag out like Super Layer, I guess I threaten my own 50-50. I don't necessarily win. Yeah, it's a mix-up because whether I'm going to tag out Dolo into Supalero and get a thump, or tag it onto Bongus and get a bounce. Just wondering, because if this was, if I win this 50-50, I guaranteed win the game, and if I lose the 50, I'm guaranteed lose the game. On game 3 of the set, that would have been pretty high. I still could have, but it wasn't guaranteed, and I lose anyway. Cavalo takes the match.